Hello and welcome to News Tonight. I'm Tina Jha. Before we begin with the bulletin, I would like to appeal to all our viewers to continue to maintain COVID-appropriate behavior as we are witnessing a massive surge in cases of COVID-19. Remember to wear your face masks, wash your hands and face regularly, and also ensure physical distancing each time you step outside. We are still in the midst of the pandemic and witnessing a second wave, and these simple precautions will help us keep the infection away. And now the top stories of the day. Strategic partnership on water has added a new dimension to India-Netherlands relationship, says Prime Minister Modi after bilateral talks, welcomes joint fight against terrorism and consensus on Indian-Pacific region. At GOM meeting, Union Health Minister Dr. Vardhan assures all resources will be used to deal with the COVID situation, appeals to people to shed complacency on the pandemic. State governments intensify measures. Madhya Pradesh announces 60-hour COVID lockdown in all cities. Chhattisgarh postpones Class 10 examinations. Government and private schools shut in New Delhi. Fourth phase polling in West Bengal tomorrow. Voting to take place in 44 seats spread across 5 districts. Electioneering intensifies for the fifth phase. An external intervention unacceptable in Jammu and Kashmir, says Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu, underscores government's commitment to overall development of the Union territory. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said there have been similarities of approach between India and the Netherlands in dealing with global challenges like climate change, terrorism and the pandemic. Speaking at a virtual summit with his counterpart from the Netherlands, Mark Rutte, the Prime Minister said both countries are developing convergences in areas like Indo-Pacific, resilient supply chains and global digital governance. He also said that in the post-COVID world, new opportunities will be created where like-minded countries like India and the Netherlands can build bilateral relations. He added that setting up a fast-track mechanism for investment promotion will give new momentum to the strong economic cooperation between the two countries.
Climate change, terrorism, pandemics जैसी वैश्विक चुनौतियों पर हमारी अप्रोच एक समान है। इंडो पैसिफिक रेजिलिएंट सप्लाई चेन्स और ग्लोबल डिजिटल गवर्नेंस जैसे नए क्षेत्रों में भी हमारे बीच कन्वर्जेंस बन रहा है। आज हम अपनी स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप ऑन वाटर से इस सिलसिले को एक नया आयाम देंगे। इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रमोशन के लिए फास्ट ट्रैक मैकेनिज्म की स्थापना भी हमारे मजबूत इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन को नया मोमेंटम देगी। मुझे विश्वास है कि पोस्ट कोविड काल में कई नए अवसर उत्पन्न होंगे जिनमें हमारे जैसे लाइक माइंडेड देश आपसी सहयोग बढ़ा सकते हैं। मैं भारतीय मूल के लोगों के विषय में आपने जो कहा, ये बात सही है कि पूरे यूरोप में भारतीय मूल की बहुत बड़ी तादाद में लोग वहाँ रह रहे हैं, लेकिन इस कोरोना कालखंड में, इस पैंडेमिक में आपने भारतीय मूल के लोगों को जिस प्रकार से उनकी चिंता की, उनको संभाला, उसके लिए मैं आपका हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ।
The Dutch Prime Minister thanked PM Modi for the Vaccine Maitri initiative. Both countries also signed several agreements, including one on water cooperation.
India's commitment to COVAX as an essential partner in terms of accessing vaccines for low and middle income countries. And we applaud India for the Vaccine Maitri program. We also congratulate India on its 8th election as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council. You and I, we both support UN reform, which includes making the Security Council more representative. In our view, India is an obvious candidate for a permanent seat on an expanded council. In the G20 as well, India plays a crucial role. During recent G20 presidencies, the Netherlands has proven itself to be a constructive partner.
Addressing the media after the virtual summit, Joint Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs, Sandeep Chakravarti, said that India is looking to benefit from the Netherlands' expertise in water management through the agreement on water cooperation. He also said that India's Serum Institute will also manufacture the COVID vaccine, Covishield, in the Netherlands.
So there was diverse cooperation in the water sector. What the two sides agreed is that to bring coherence into our cooperation in the water sector, the first thing that they agreed to do is to elevate the JWG on water to the ministerial level. So that will allow different streams to come together under a Minister of Water Resources, Jal Shakti Mantri, and then there his counterpart on the Netherlands side, and then we will try to bring coherence into the water sector. Indian engineers have reached Netherlands and they are going to set up a European vaccine hub in Netherlands. So work is ongoing there. As you know, Serum Institute of India acquired a Dutch company, Bilthoven, a few years back, and that is now going to become another vaccine manufacturing hub in the Netherlands. So a great deal of discussion was held. Also,
relations between India and the Netherlands have been on an upswing for the last 1 decade. While Netherlands underlines the importance of relations between the two countries, India sees the Dutch nation as a potential nation to fulfill India's political goals on the global map. Today's virtual summit between Prime Minister Modi and the Netherlands Prime Minister Mark Rutte further consolidates the common vision in a post-COVID world. Here's a report.
The framework agreement.
Just 1 year after Prime Minister Narendra Modi took oath of office in May 2014, Netherlands Prime Minister Mark Rutte made his first official visit to India in June 2015. In June 2017, Prime Minister Modi visited the European nation. This was a successful visit, and the Dutch Prime Minister paid a second official visit to India in May 2018. The historical relations between India and Netherlands date back to the 17th century, with both countries engaging in trade during the Mughal era. The Netherlands is among India's top 10 partners in terms of trade volume and the third largest investor in foreign direct investment. There are over 200 Dutch companies present in India, with a similar presence of Indian businesses in the Netherlands. Both countries have bilateral cooperation in the fields of water management, agriculture, food processing and healthcare, among others.
Both India and Netherlands, they have identified each other as important economic partners. We have close to 12 billion annual trade. And for the last 20 years, Netherlands is one of the leading investors in India. Apart from economics, I think the political relations are also becoming closer. Recently, Netherlands has also come out with its own strategy on Indo-Pacific. So there is growing convergence now in many more areas.
Netherlands also hosts the largest Indian diaspora in continental Europe. With inputs from Akhilesh Suman, Bureau Report, Sunset TV. In some other news, Prime Minister Modi on Friday released the Hindi translation of the book Odisha Itihas, written by a freedom fighter and Odisha's first Chief Minister Hare Krishna Mehtab. The book, also available in Odia and English, has been translated in Hindi by Shankar Lal Purohit. Lauding Hare Krishna Mehtab, the Prime Minister said he's among the rare politicians who went to jail as a freedom fighter and also for his campaign against the emergency.
आजादी की लड़ाई में अपना जीवन समर्पित किया, अपनी जवानी खपा दी। उन्होंने जेल की जिंदगी काटी, लेकिन महत्वपूर्ण ये रहा कि आजादी की लड़ाई के साथ साथ वो समाज के लिए भी लड़े। जात पात, छुआछूत के खिलाफ आंदोलन में उन्होंने अपने पैतृक मंदिर को भी सभी जातियों के लिए खोला। और उस जमाने में
The Prime Minister added that his government has worked to boost infrastructure and industry in the eastern regions of the country to bridge its development gap with the western part of the country.
प्रधानमंत्री जी का भद्रा जी,
हमारे पास आज भी इतनी व्यापक समुद्री सीमा है, मानवीय संसाधन है, व्यापार की संभावनाएं हैं। साथ ही आज हमारे पास आधुनिक विज्ञान की ताकत भी है। अगर हम अपने इस प्राचीन अनुभवों और आधुनिक संभावनाओं को एक साथ जोड़ दें तो ओडिशा विकास की नई ऊंचाई पर पहुंच सकता है। आज देश इस दिशा में गंभीर प्रयास कर रहा है और अधिक प्रयास करने की दिशा में भी हम सजग हैं।
Union Health Minister Dr. Vardhan on Friday expressed serious concern over the rising cases of COVID-19 in the country. Chairing the 24th Group of Ministers meeting on COVID-19, the minister noted that the casual approach and complacency of people towards the virus has resulted in a sudden spike of fresh cases.
We all know that it's because of the casual approach that has been adopted, unfortunately, by the society and some sort of laxity everywhere in following the discipline of the COVID appropriate behavior that has probably resulted in this surge in the cases. We would like to have some valuable advice from the members of this GOM so that we can handle the current crisis which has erupted over the last 2 months itself and see that these rising numbers, they again start declining and we can come back to normal and score a convincing win over COVID.
On the vaccination drive, the health minister said that India is inoculating at a faster rate and over 9 crore 43 lakh vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far. He added that India is supporting the global community through vaccine Maitri and 6 crore 45 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses have been sent to as many as 85 countries.
9 crore 43 lakh 34,262 doses have been given to people in India of the various priority groups, and in the last 24 hours itself we have given 36 lakh 91,511 doses. This figure, in fact, in last week we one day even gave 43 lakh doses. This is probably the highest given anywhere in the whole world and probably better than everyone.
Of the over 9 crore 43 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses that have been administered in the country so far, over 89 lakh have been given to healthcare workers who have got the first dose and over 54 lakh who have got the second dose of the vaccine. Besides, over 98 lakh frontline workers have been administered the first dose and over 45 lakh have got the second dose. Over 3 crore 75 lakh people above the age of 60 have received the first dose and over 13 lakh people have also received the second dose. More than 2 crore 61 lakh beneficiaries aged 45 to 60 have been given the first dose and the second dose has been received by 5 lakh 23,000 people. Also, over 36 lakh vaccination doses have been administered in the country in the last 24 hours. Meanwhile, India reported a single-day spike of over 131,000 new cases of coronavirus in the last 24 hours. The country's active cases reached 9,79,000 on Friday, comprising 7.50% of the total infections. India's COVID-19 cases tally has now crossed 1.30 crore. 780 deaths were reported in the country in the last 24 hours, taking the death toll to 1,67,642. With 61,899 new recoveries in the same period, the total recoveries have crossed 1.19 crore. The national recovery rate has now come down to 91.22%. Among states, 10 states, which include Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Karnataka, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat and Rajasthan, continue to report a steep rise in daily new cases. 83.29% of the new cases have been reported from just these states. Maharashtra continues to report the highest daily new cases at over 58,000, followed by Chhattisgarh with 10,652, while Uttar Pradesh reported 8,474 new cases of coronavirus. So amid the surge in cases of coronavirus, Madhya Pradesh is imposing a lockdown in all cities from 6 p.m. on Friday to 6 a.m. on Monday. In addition, Ratlam and Betur districts will be under complete lockdown for 9 days starting Friday, while Khargone and Katni will have restrictions for 7 days from 9 p.m. to 6 p.m. respectively starting Friday. A lockdown has already been imposed in the Chhindwara district starting Thursday, although essential services have been exempted from these curbs. In neighbouring Chhattisgarh, complete lockdown has been imposed in Raipur starting Friday till the 19th of April. The borders of the district have been sealed for 10 days. During the lockdown, no business other than petrol pump, medical shops and LPG agencies will be allowed to function. Besides, all government and private offices as well as banks will remain closed. A lockdown will also be imposed in Rajnandgaon and Bemtara districts starting Saturday. The Chhattisgarh Board of Secondary Education on Friday postponed the Class 10 examinations due to a spike in COVID-19 cases in the state. The exams were to be held from the 15th of April. The Delhi government also announced on Friday the closure of all schools until further orders. The national capital is also witnessing a surge in fresh cases over the past few weeks. Over 7,000 new cases have been reported. In fact, over 8,500 new cases have been reported in the national capital in the last 24 hours. Several other states like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and Gujarat are also reimposing certain restrictions amid rising cases of COVID-19. And with that, time for a short break here. More news and updates will continue on the other side. Do stay with us.
Watch The Big Picture at 9:30 p.m. only on Rajya Sabha television. Under fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution, a right to freedom is between Article 19 to 22. It includes freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of assembly without arms, freedom of association, freedom to practice any profession, and freedom to reside in any part of the country.
Welcome back. You're watching News Tonight. Time now for all the news and updates from West Bengal, where the 8th-phase assembly elections are underway. All necessary preparations have been made in Bengal for the 4th-phase polling of assembly elections on Saturday. 373 candidates, which include 50 women as well, will be vying for the 44 seats in 5 districts during the fourth phase. The BJP and the ruling Trinamool Congress are contesting on all 44 seats, while the Congress, left parties and their alliance partner, the Indian Secular Front, are fighting under the banner of Sanyukta Morcha. The CPIM has fielded 22 candidates, BSP 13, Congress 9, AIFB 6, ISF 4, RSP 2 and the CPI 1. There are 153 independent candidates as well, along with 73 others in the fray. Polling will be held from 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. In view of the prevailing COVID-19 pandemic, a maximum of 1,000 electors will be allowed at one polling station. The option of postal ballot has also been extended to the electors who are COVID-19 positive or suspected to be, as certified by the competent authority. The facility of postal ballot will be available for voters in home or institutional quarantine, along with those marked as persons with disabilities and also those above the age of 80 years. Sanitization of polling stations and thermal checking of voters at entry points is mandatory. If the temperature is above the set norms of the Health Ministry, then the elector will be provided with a token and asked to come for voting during the last hour of polling. The Election Commission has issued a notice to West Bengal Chief Minister and TMC Chief Mamata Banerjee for her alleged statement against the Central Armed Police Forces deputed on election duty in the state. The notice, issued on Thursday night, said the TMC chief prima facie violated various sections of the IPC with her remarks against the central forces. The poll panel said that the completely false, provocative and intemperate statements by Mamata Banerjee attempted to berate and vilify the central paramilitary forces during the electoral process. The Chief Minister has been asked to respond to the notice by 11 a.m. on Saturday. This is the second notice that has been served to Mamata Banerjee in the last few days. On Wednesday, the poll body had issued her a notice over her alleged appeal for votes along communal lines. And Union Home Minister Amit Shah said on Friday that TMC Chief Mamata Banerjee's frustration on her impending defeat in the assembly elections is visible in her outbursts against the Central Armed Forces. Campaigning door-to-door in Bhawanipur in Kolkata, Amit Shah exuded confidence that the BJP will win anywhere between 63 and 68 seats in the first 3 phases. Reacting to Mamata Banerjee's comments against the armed forces deployed on election duty in Bengal, Amit Shah said that no chief minister or president of a political party uses the kind of words that Mamata Banerjee has been using against the central forces. He also said that the people of the state are unhappy about Mamata Banerjee's failure to check infiltration, her protest against the CAA and her appeasement politics.
तुष्टीकरण की आपकी जो राजनीति रही, इसके लिए बंगाल की जनता आपके खिलाफ है। दुर्गा पूजा में मूर्ति का विसर्जन करने के लिए कोर्ट की सहायता लेनी पड़ती है, सर्कुलर होते हैं, कुछ एरिया में सरस्वती पूजा नहीं होती। किस प्रकार का शासन आपने बंगाल को दिया है, इसको जरा पीछे मुड़कर देखिए। इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का खस्ता हाल, इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट में जीरो डेवलपमेंट, बेरोजगारी चरम सीमा पर, महिला सुरक्षा के सारे पैरामीटर्स ऊंधे मोह गिरे हुए हैं। सब प्रकार के महिलाओं के खिलाफ के अपराध में 1 से 5 नंबर के अंदर बंगाल खड़ा है।
Moving on to some other news. The nation is committed to overall development of Jammu and Kashmir, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu said on Friday. Addressing the 3rd and 4th convocation ceremony at IIM Jammu, the Vice President asserted that Jammu and Kashmir has been and will continue to be an integral part of India, and any external interference in India's internal affairs is unwarranted.
Jammu Kashmir, where you are studying, is an integral part of India. And we are of the opinion we are capable of solving our problems. And no country, for that matter, has any business to interfere or make comments on the internal affairs of other country, any other country. We are capable of solving our problems, and we all believe in democracy.
The Vice President also called upon IIMs to offer innovative courses based on new market realities and demands of the fourth industrial revolution. He advised the institutions of higher education to adapt, evolve, and respond according to the new challenges facing the world. The Vice President urged the aspiring entrepreneurs, managers, and consultants to identify innovations at the grassroots. He also stressed on the need for strengthening industry-institute linkages. Seven terrorists were gunned down by security forces in two encounters in Jammu and Kashmir's Shopian and Pulwama districts. 5 terrorists were killed in the Shopian encounter that started Thursday afternoon after a joint team of Jammu and Kashmir police and security forces launched a search operation following inputs about the presence of terrorists in the area. And in the other encounter, 2 terrorists were killed in Avantipura of South Kashmir's Pulwama district on Friday. Search operations at both the encounter sites are still underway.
कोई भी आदमी स्टेट के खिलाफ हथियार उठाया जाएगा, उसके साथ में ऑपरेशन होगा, कांटेक्ट ऑपरेशन होगा, अपॉर्चुनिटी देंगे, लोकल होगा, उसको सरेंडर के लिए, नहीं मानेगा तो उसको न्यूट्रलाइज करा जाएगा.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh held talks with his Kazakh counterpart, Lieutenant General Nurlan Yermekbayev in New Delhi on Friday. The talks focused on boosting defence industrial collaboration between both countries. The two ministers exchanged views to further strengthen bilateral defence cooperation, including through training, military exercises and capacity building. The Defence Ministry said Kazakhstan's Defence Minister thanked Rajnath Singh for the deployment of Kazakh troops as part of the Indian battalion in the UN Interim Force in Lebanon. The Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, the Chief of Naval Staff, Admiral Karambir Singh, Defence Secretary Ajay Kumar were present during the delegation-level talks. The husband of Britain's Queen Elizabeth II, Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh and Britain's longest-serving royal consort, has passed away. In a statement issued on behalf of the 94-year-old monarch, the Royal Palace said that Prince Philip died peacefully at Windsor Castle on Friday morning. The Duke, who was to mark his 100th birthday on the 10th of June, was discharged from hospital after a month since he had been admitted there and went on to have a successful heart procedure. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi condoled Prince Philip's demise. So that's it from us in this bulletin. But before we leave, I once again urge all our viewers to continue to maintain COVID-appropriate behavior in order to stay safe from the COVID-19 pandemic. Remember to wear your face masks, wash your hands and face regularly, and do ensure that you maintain physical distancing whenever you are stepping outside. In the wake of the surge in cases, these simple precautions are all that it takes on our part to defeat the pandemic. Take care of yourselves and your families. Good night and thank you for your time.
Watch Reset India.